guys, Blue here. So I just did that raid against Synthwave. I don't raid very often, but every now and then it's fun. And if you don't know who Synthwave is, he's a bit of a legend from the old game. He played in a lot of very top teams. Fantastic player, really cool guy as well. And he used to have probably the best base in the game. You know, it's very difficult to make your base difficult, but he managed to do it. MUFC 14 did a great video on that, you know, a couple years ago. And he's just a really cool guy. And he also has a YouTube channel that he's unfortunately not posting on anymore. Synth, if you see this, it'd be great to see some content from you. He had a great YouTube channel. I'll post a link to it. But anyway, you know, I saw Synthwave's base and I thought, I gotta do it. And so, anyway, I wanted to talk about Megatronus on Robot Resource because if you've done any raids recently, you will have seen Tronus popping up everywhere. Everyone who ranks him up, or even if they don't rank him up, are probably going to put Megatronus on their base, especially during the week when AMs aren't running. You are going to see him everywhere on Robot Resource because it is one of the few raid fights that can be genuinely difficult, especially if you don't have the right kind of bot. And even if you do, it can still be trouble for you. And so Megatronus on Robot Resource, right? It's a bit of a ridiculous fight because of the power gain, right? That works in tandem with his power gain. And so he ends up generating power extremely quickly. Now remember that we can fully rank up our mods now. We weren't able to in the old game. It's also super easy to get them to high sig, right? So lots of people are gonna have, you know, a rank 5, sig 100, Robot Resource on their base. And perhaps even more importantly, it is 100 times easier to get your bots to high sig now as opposed to the old game, right? So now you're gonna see tons of people with high or max sig Megatronuses on their base, whereas in the old game, not many people had a very high sig Tronus because it just took so much longer to achieve that, right? And that's important because his sig, right, will prevent buffs and debuffs, things like, power drains and power gain buffs, etc., etc. And so that makes this a tricky fight, even when you are using, power controlling bots, which is what you want to do. Now, the best choice for this fight, by far, is a bot that hardly anybody uses, and that is Kickback. And the reason for that is because Kickback can consume, which is a similar word to purify, Robot Resource, right? Kickback consumes, power rate, power drain, etc., power-related buffs and debuffs with his heavy. So if you're using Kickback in a raid against Tronus, all you have to do is get a heavy off. He will consume Robot Resource, which means that all of that additional power gain will stop, and Tronus will revert to his normal power gain, which is much slower. Okay? So if you have Kickback, or if you've been thinking about investing in him, even if you just use him in raids, he'll be great, because he will make that Tronus fight on RR much easier. Okay? Now, with that said, a lot of people don't use him. And so your other option, of course, is to use any other power controlling bot. Okay, it's always a good idea to use a power controlling bot in raids in general, but now that you're going to see Tronus everywhere, you're going to want to bring a power controller every time you do a raid, because every time you see Tronus, he's almost like 99% of the time, he's going to be on Robot Resource. And so you want to make sure that you have a power controller. Like, we're all doing it, because we all know, by the way, that bases are easy, raids are easy, but if it's your base, you want to make it a bit challenging. Like, I put Tronus on RR, why not, right? So this is what you're going to see all the time now. So you can use any other power controlling bot and you'll probably have success. Just remember though that Tronus, especially if he's high sig, he's going to be activating that sig pretty frequently. It's not going to activate every time, but when it does, that will give you some issues, right? So with Prowl, for example, right, when Tronus' sig activates, it prevents Prowl from getting that surge of power when he activates his melee buffs. It can prevent things like power leaks with a bot like Soundwave or Wheeljack, etc. But you can use Prowl. Rhinox is a good choice with his power locks, Soundwave with his power leaks, Wheeljack the same thing, even though Wheeljack is a little bit more RNG based. Mirage can do well because you can get a special one-off quickly. And if you have a high Sig Mirage, you can do a lot of power burn. B is also an excellent choice, especially if he's high Sig, because you can get to a special 2 quickly and then start landing those power locks. Regardless, though, whoever you're using, you want to actually do that fight pretty aggressively because you want to start draining Tronus's power as quickly as possible. Number one, because he's generating power so fast, okay? So a Tronus on a rank 4, rank 5 robot resource is going to be getting to a bar of power every 5 or 6 seconds, okay? It's so fast. So you want to land whatever power control you can immediately. Like, get him power controlled before his Sig starts activating or before he starts getting up to 2-3 bars of power. Because the other thing about robot resource that you have to remember is that the Sig gives up to about 20% additional special damage. And so Tronus can get to a special 3 in 15 to 20 seconds max, which is super fast. And you do not want to eat a special 3 from Tronus, especially if the Relic of Fury is active, because if you combine the Relic of Fury and the Sig from the mod, he can wipe out a fully forged bot with a special 3. And even if he doesn't kill you, he's going to take a huge amount of your health. And so the point is that if you don't have the right kind of bot for that fight, Tronus can wipe out your entire squad. It can be an insanely frustrating fight. And like I said, because of his Sig, and just because he's gaining power so quickly, even if you are using a power controller, it can still be difficult. So there's always a bit of luck involved when fighting Tronus on RR. That's just how it is. Like, you've just got to be able to land those power leaks or power drains, whatever it is, and or you just have to hope that Tronus uses his specials very quickly, right? And he will sometimes, but he won't always. And because of the fact that he's getting to a special 3 so quickly, even if he uses the special 1 or 2 right away the first time or the second time, by the time he gets to the third time, he might not. And then he gets to a special 3 and then he kills you. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. If you have kickback or you're willing to rank him up, go for it. If not, always have a power controlling bot and do your best to land that power control as quickly as you can. Be aggressive, even if it means a little bit of collateral damage. It's no big deal. You would much rather get hit a few times than end up eating special 3s. You know what I mean? And if you're really unlucky, sometimes you can end up eating like a couple of special 3s. Like, even if the first one doesn't kill you, you might get to another one. So it's an annoying fight, but if you like to raid, you have to be prepared for the fact that you're going to see Megatronus on RR all the time now. And more often than not, he's going to be high or max Sig, and he's going to be on a ranked up high Sig robot resource as well. So that's the deal with it. This is the reality of raids now, if you're into raids. So you just have to be prepared as you go forward and, do your raiding. So I hope this has been helpful, guys. I will leave it there for now, and we will be in touch again soon. Take care.